Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to be making baked poutine fries with breaded cheese curds and a gravy to go along with it over the top. For the baked cheese curds, I'm going to use 1 egg, 12 ounces of cheese curds, or if you don't have cheese curds, you could use cut up cubes of mozzarella. I'm going to use a half cup of oat flour to bread them, but you could use another breadcrumb of your choice. Italian might be a good one. 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and a pinch or 2 of black pepper. And to make the gravy, I'm going to use 3 teaspoons of ghee, but you could also use unsalted butter or another alternative butter of your choice. And I'm going to use an 1/8 cup tapioca flour and an 1/8 cup of potato starch to thicken the gravy, but you could use cornstarch and a little bit of regular flour if that's your thing. For the broth, I'm going to use 1 cup of beef broth and a half cup of chicken broth, and then some pepper to sprinkle over the top. I also, because it's fries, of course you're going to need some kind of potato. I'm using russet potato. I only have about 4 out there, but I'm going to fill a tray or 2 full of the potatoes and bake them in the oven. And then to top, I'm going to either top it with the parsley, or I do have some fresh chives that I can chop up. So I'll be back in a little bit once I've prepped some of the ingredients to show you how it's coming along. Okay, to make my fries, I chopped them up so that they look kind of like this, and I'm going to drizzle a couple tablespoons of I'm using avocado oil, but you could use olive oil. And then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt, probably about a tablespoon or 2. Mix up the potatoes so the salt and the oil gets on each of them. And I'm going to put them in the oven for about an hour at 350, and I'll check back when they're done. Okay, while the fries are finishing up, I'm going to start working on the breaded cheese curds. First, I'm going to I scrambled up my 1 egg. I'm going to pour it over the cheese curds and kind of mix up the cheese curds so that they get the egg wash all over them. There's many ways to bread. This is just a quick one. It'll probably not turn out as pretty, but it'll be fast and easy. Then next I'm going to add my half cup of oat flour, my pinch of pepper, my onion powder, and my teaspoon of Italian seasoning to my bag. And then I'm going to, I think I'm just getting here with my hand, and put about half of the cheese curds in and shake it up, and then put them on my tray to get ready for baking. Okay, so I just finished up breading the rest of the cheese curds, and just wanted to give you a brief look of what they look like. They're not perfectly breaded all the way around, but there's a nice crumb texture on each one. They're going to put them in the oven for 350 for 3 to 5 minutes, but these are really something you have to watch closely. You don't want to come back and have a melted tray of cheese. It's just to cook up the egg a little bit and to melt the cheese a little bit. Later, once we finish the gravy, that will help warm up the cheese curd a little bit and keep them a little bit softer. All right, so now I am ready. I turned on my saucepan and we're going to get ready to do the gravy. I have my 3 tablespoons roughly of ghee, but again, you could use butter. I'm gonna melt that down. And it was already starting to melt just being on the counter, so it should go pretty quickly. And once that melts down, I'm gonna add my 1/8 cup of tapioca flour. And my 1/8 cup of potato starch. And mix it in. And just grab my broths. And I have them measured out, and I'm just going to add them slowly. This is the cup of beef broth, and I'm just going to stir it in with my butter flour mix. And as soon as it starts to clump up, I add a little bit more. And it's got some clumps, but I'm not giving up hope yet. I'm gonna keep stirring, see if I can get it to become a little bit more liquidy. I'm gonna turn down the heat just a little bit. And I'm going to add in my sprinkle of ground pepper. Turn my heat down to more of a simmer. And I'll check back in with you later. And this is what my fries look like when I took them out of the oven. If you like yours browner, just leave them in so they're a little bit more golden brown, but I kind of like the way they're looking. So this is what my cheese curds look like coming out of the oven. You can see I probably missed it by about a minute or so. Some are starting to look like a puddle of cheese. But they look good and melty, and I'm going to pile them on top of my fries and pour over the gravy. I'll be back soon. Okay, so I've plated some fries, put over my cheese curds, and I'm going to pour over the gravy. My gravy was giving me a little trouble, so I did end up adding a splash or two more of chicken broth, and then I brought the immersion blender into it to kind of make it emulsify. I also do that on Thanksgiving if my gravy is not cooperating as well. And I'm gonna put over the parsley, just because I think it looks pretty, and a little dash of chives that have been snipped up, and here you have your oven baked poutine. I hope you give it a try. Have fun with it. Enjoy.